Developing appropriate assessments. My name is Steph Bennett, I'm a learning development tutor. Welcome. Today's aims: to develop knowledge and understanding of developing assessments that are appropriate for the student and their level of study. We will look at learning outcomes, assessment types, rubrics, accessibility and inclusivity, piloting, setting and communicating expectations, fair and consistent marking, and refining the process. Let's begin with learning outcomes. When designing your module, start by identifying exactly what you want students to know, understand, or be able to do by the end of their learning. Use clear instructional language terms. For example, demonstrate, critically evaluate, analyse, critically reflect. Drawing on the same ideas as Bloom's taxonomy to set the right cognitive level. Once these outcomes are in place, ensure that your assessments are directly aligned with them, so you're measuring precisely what you intend students to achieve. This is called constructive alignment, a theory penned by Biggs. In our learning development sessions, we encourage students to engage with the learning outcomes, framing them as assessors' expectations. We also support them in unpacking the language used, so they clearly understand what is required and what their assessments need to address. And this is why learning outcomes are so important to students. Right assessment, right student. Once your learning outcomes are in place, the next step is choosing the right assessment. It's important to ensure each task is appropriate for the subject, the skills you want students to develop, and the students themselves. Think carefully about their learning needs and inclusivity. This might mean offering a variety of assessment formats or providing alternative approaches. These could include practical assessments such as presentations, videos, podcasts or group work, as well as more traditional forms like essays, reports, annotated bibliographies, or even academic posters. While traditional assessments can feel like a safe option, it's worth pausing to consider whether they truly allow students to demonstrate the level and depth of understanding you're aiming to assess, particularly in a landscape where AI and other tools can influence written work. This is by no means about dismissing academic writing, but simply about being mindful of its limitations and choosing the assessment format that best showcases genuine learning. Choosing thoughtfully designed, well-aligned assessments helps to ensure that students' learning, not just their writing, is what shines through. Level of difficulty. Designing assessments that are appropriately challenging is one of the trickiest parts of module planning. It's essential to align your expectations with the student's level of study, ensuring the task stretches their thinking without tipping into what Sweller refers to as cognitive overload. Cognitive overload may overwhelm a learner's mental capacity, making it harder for them to process information, retain knowledge, and successfully complete the assessment. So aim for challenge, but not overwhelm. At the same time, consider whether the assessment is genuinely feasible within the time, resources, and support available to your students. Getting this balance right not only supports meaningful learning, connecting new information to prior knowledge, but it also creates a fair and achievable assessment experience. This will be most beneficial to your learners because they build confidence and motivation as you allow them to demonstrate their understanding without unnecessary barriers. Rubrics. Transparent rubrics make assessment expectations far easier for students to understand. By explicitly spelling out what good looks like and using clear student-friendly language, you remove unnecessary ambiguity. A well-designed rubric breaks the assessment down into distinct, accessible facets, and this might include quality of communication, subject-specific knowledge, knowledge and understanding, and intellectual skills, so students can see exactly how their work will be judged and how different elements are weighted. This clarity not only guides students towards producing stronger work, but also supports fairness and consistency across the marking process. It's important for students to understand their rubric because it clarifies exactly how their work will be evaluated, helping them focus their efforts, meet expectations, and produce stronger, more targeted assignments. Inclusivity. To make assessments, and more importantly assessment briefs, clear, fair and genuinely accessible, it's important to use plain, straightforward language and avoid unnecessary jargon that can create barriers for students. Additionally, ensuring tasks are accessible for learners with diverse needs is essential. You might want to provide a clear draft structure for the assessment, and this can act as a form of scaffolding, in line with Bruner's idea that structured support helps learners move towards independence. You might even want to draw on some of CAST's Universal Design for Learning principles to strengthen inclusivity by offering multiple means of representation, for example, how information is presented, multiple means of engagement, for example, how students interact with the task, and multiple means of action and expression, for example, how they can demonstrate what they've learned. Together, these practices make assessment expectations more transparent and help all students engage with the task confidently. Scaffolding. Building on the idea of scaffolding we've just discussed, such as providing a clear draft structure, it's also important to think about the wider support students may need as they prepare for their assessments. Offering guidance, examples and opportunities for practice, along with formative checkpoints like drafts, proposals or peer review, can help students build confidence and competence. You might also consider the ongoing support available throughout the module, whether that's academic literacies sessions, subject-specific seminars, or even one-to-one tutorials where you can look at a sample of their work and help them understand whether they're on the right track. This kind of scaffolding and support is important because it helps students gradually build the skills, understanding and confidence they need to complete their assessments successfully, rather than feeling overwhelmed or left to work it out alone. Piloting. Before finalising an assessment, why not pilot or peer review it? This can be incredibly valuable. Invite your colleagues to look over the brief. This will allow you to check for clarity, workload expectations, and alignment with your learning or module outcomes. If it's possible, why not test tasks with small student groups? You can even gather insights from previous cohorts through a module survey, and this can help to highlight any areas of confusion or unintended difficulty. This feedback will help you to refine the assessment so that it's fair, transparent, and effective for all future students. Setting expectations. So we're nearly there. Once expectations have been set in the brief, the next step is to clearly communicate them in the classroom. Provide written instructions. Talk through them. Take your time with the students so nothing is left open to interpretation. And this is why offering a draft is always a really helpful thing. Explain the purpose of the assessment. Why are they undertaking the tasks you have set them? Explain how it links back to the learning or module outcomes, because helping students to understand why they're doing a task as well as what is required makes the learning meaningful. Make sure the submission format, deadlines and expectations regarding academic integrity are clarified from the offset, so students will feel confident, informed and prepared. Planning for fair and consistent marking. So we're finally at the marking, and you might be doing this alone as an individual, or the cohort might have been shared among a group of assessors. Either way, to ensure fair and consistent marking, it's important to plan your approach in advance. Use the rubric consistently. Keep referring back to it so that each criterion is applied in the same way across all submissions. And where possible, incorporate double marking or ensure you've got moderation to strengthen the reliability of your grades and feedback and to reduce individual bias. Finally, prepare to deliver timely, constructive feedback to students that justifies their grade and also supports their future learning and development. You might want to take a medal and mission approach. This is a simple feedback approach where medals highlight what students did well and missions give clear next steps for improvement. Refining. After each assessment cycle, it's really important to reflect, to think back on what happened, how, why, the strengths and the limitations. because this will help you to refine your assessment practices moving forward. Gather feedback from students. Review their grades and any patterns, any recurring issues, and most importantly, speak with colleagues about their experiences, because their insights can highlight challenges or strengths that you might not have picked up on. Use this information to adjust any potential issues and strengthen the assessments and tasks for future cohorts. This is all about continuous improvement, and it helps to ensure your assessments remain clear, fair, and effective for the students.